Hey, it's that time again. The Olympic Games are on. The event where cities spend billions of dollars building stadiums that will likely be decaying ruins in a few years' time. But hey, at least it gives them an excuse to demolish all those neighborhoods full of poor people. As you can probably tell, I'm not exactly a fan of the Olympics. And while I could talk about the corruption and all that other stuff, I think it's pretty well known. If you're somehow unaware of how shitty the Olympics are, then I strongly suggest you look into it. In this video, I just wanted to cover a fun Olympic fact. The Olympic torch relay was invented by the Nazis. It's often assumed that the torch relay is a tradition dating back to the original Olympic Games in ancient Greece, but in reality it's far newer. The Olympic flame was a symbol used in the ancient games, but the idea of a relay carrying the flames from Olympia to the site of the games is an entirely modern invention. I mean, think about it. The original games were held at Olympia, so if there was a relay, it would have been a pretty short one. The first torch relay was held in 1936 for the Olympic Games in Nazi Germany. The fact that the Nazis were even allowed to host the Olympics at all tells you everything you need to know about the morality of the IOC. There was a threat to boycott the event because of the Nazis' anti-Jewish policies. Although to be clear, this was not because anyone involved actually cared about the well-being of Jews, but rather because they wanted to maintain the illusion that the Olympics were about equal opportunities. Ultimately, the threat of a boycott was dropped after the American Olympic Committee convinced the Germans to include one token Jew, their words not mine, on their Olympic team. The whole event was a massive piece of propaganda for the Nazis. The goal was to use the games to distract from the human rights abuses that the country was responsible for, something I'm sure no other countries have done since then. Hitler even said of the Olympics that, quote, "It doesn't separate, but unites the combatants in understanding and respect. It also helps to connect the countries in the spirit of peace. That's why the Olympic flame should never die," end quote. The torch relay was very much intended to be part of this propaganda. While he wasn't the one who came up with the idea, Joseph Goebbels, the head of the Ministry of Propaganda, was probably the one most responsible for turning the idea into reality. He clearly saw the propaganda potential of such an event. The relay was a way to show off the Aryan athletes involved in transporting the flame, and the growing political power of Germany. But more than that, by carrying the flame from Greece to Germany, the relay symbolized that Germany considered itself the true continuation of white European civilization, which dated all the way back to ancient Greece. The Nazis often appropriated elements of ancient Greek and Roman culture as a way to increase their appearance of legitimacy as successors of those ancient societies. The flame was lit with the rays of the sun, symbolizing purity. That's still mentioned on the Olympic website, but it doesn't mention that the purity it was originally supposed to represent was the purity of the white race. As expected, the torch relay was a massive propaganda win, and helped draw more attention to the 1936 Games than any previous Olympics. As such, the relay was made part of every Olympics since then. Its origin seems to have been largely forgotten, and it's now treated as a symbol of international unity, which is rather ironic. That's about it. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Not much more to say except fuck the IOC.